Well, hello, ladies. And I'm certainly excited to be here with you. I'm sorry that my screen came on behind me, and I'm certainly honored and excited to be here with you, women with 2020 vision. And so I first have to say thank you to Natasha Gaden, who just joined us for the invitation, and then even more so to Danny Small, who connected us. And it's great to be connected to women of influence, women of power. Hey, and you know what? Natasha, I had no clue. I said, I don't know if I'm supposed to just go live on my own or what, but I think I'm doing right. And I know that there's a way that I can even, Natasha, we could have been on here together, but I do want to thank you so much. I don't take it lightly when people share their platform with me. And that is because this is your baby. And I certainly, hi, everybody. And so, I normally would say hello to everybody as they join, but as I start actually going into my message, thank you so much. I will not, because I lose myself, right? I lose my train of thought. And I used to be intimidated, you guys, about having to speak to people, and that is because I realized that I get nervous and I forget. And I know I don't ever look nervous to most people, but I get nervous and I forget. And so I have notes, I study to show myself approved. Hello, everyone. And like I said, so Natasha Gaden, to you and your ladies here, to Danny Small, thank you so much for thinking of little old me. And I just pray that there's something that I've been through. There's something that I've accomplished in breakthrough. There's something that I may share today that may assist you on growing and developing as a woman. And ladies, we got to do better. We got to do better. We've got to get to a place where, you know what? We learn to love each other authentically. That it's okay to be you don't have to explain who you are. You can be unapologetically who you are. But am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am. I am my sister's keeper. And you know what? It takes nothing from us when we compliment each other. It takes nothing from us when we love on each other. It takes nothing from us to celebrate each other as we are accelerating in our lives, because we have to remember that the same way that we celebrate others, guess what? It's the same way that we're going to want others to celebrate us. And so my name is Nina Rochelle Moorer, and I am certainly excited to be here. And I literally push a bling again movement, and and I'll kind of share my tagline. But I believe that no matter what we've been through in life, that we can bling again. And I'm not just talking about in the sense of diamonds and pearls and things like that. But ladies, if I can go from welfare to winning, that's right, literally from welfare to winning, then guess what? So can you. And I realize that even when I say, from welfare to winning, that although I was physically in the system or systematized with welfare, receiving food stamps, and I got medical, and there was a time that I even got cash, until I realized that, I am not going to accept this any longer. And I'll talk about that a little bit further when we talk about our action steps. But I really just want to tell my story. So again, like I said, my name is Nina Moorer, Moorer, and I am a 45-year-old wife to one husband, Paul Moorer, and the mother of 4 children, grandma of 1. My 4 children range in the ages of, from the ages of 29 as my oldest son, Rashid, 24, Julian, Majesty, who's 18, and my 3-year-old Paige. I am a professional network marketer. I am an ex-cosmetologist, about 27 years in the industry. I am a pastor's daughter. I am the sister to 3 brothers. Thank you. And I'm the only girl. And I grew up here, I live in Ardmore, Pennsylvania now, but I grew up in Philadelphia, but I also spent some time in Japan. My birth mother is Japanese, and I spent some time growing up in LA. I've lived in San Diego, I've lived in Los Angeles, I've lived in Virginia Beach, I've lived in Pennsylvania, and I've lived in Japan. And so, of course, my father met my birth mother while he was in the Air Force, and she moved here to the States, and their marriage didn't last very long. And so I am a product of parents who divorced. And what I want you to understand is that, and I'm just laying some foundation so that you understand some things about me before we go any further, because a lot of people will think because they see you successful and they see you living the life of your dreams right now, they don't understand where you came from. They may not understand that you've got a story. They may not understand that you've been through hell and back. They may not understand it. But you know what? I saw my cousin, sister friend, Tammy Hooks, join us on here, and she was right there with me as I was going through one of the most tumultuous times of my life, my divorce. And so back when my parents divorced, I want you to understand something, that the courts separated the children. So my brother went with my father and I stayed with my mom. And I lived in LA, you guys, away from any family. My mother worked at night and I took care of myself primarily. She did send me to sitters, but I didn't always like the environment that I was in. So I would sneak back home when I could. And my mother worked at night. My mother was an alcoholic. And I'm not saying this to throw a knife at my mom. I'm literally just painting this picture for you because, like I said, you look at people, you see them successful, you see them smiling, and you see that my spirit is bubbly, and I'm always on the go, and I'm always happy. And it doesn't mean that things are not going wrong in my life. It's just that each and every day that I get up, ladies, I make a choice, and I choose life every single day. I choose life because death is not an option. Failure is not an option. And so my mother worked at night. I was left alone a lot. I spent a lot of time alone in my room, and my mother was an alcoholic. And because she was an alcoholic, there were times that I would have to get up and clean up her vomit, and the house smelled a lot like alcohol all the time. And she smoked cigarettes, and I would see my brother sometimes, here and there. And then I remember my father coming to live with us. He came to LA, and he was a musician at the time, and he was struggling, trying to make ends meet, trying to be, with both of his children. But they had like a co-parenting thing going on. And I remember, you guys, early back in my life, and I'm getting somewhere, y'all just stick with me. I just want y'all to know who Nina is, right? Beyond the cute hair and the lipstick and the smiles and all of that, I want you to know who I am. And that you probably will identify with a lot of what I've been through. So my parents used to get angry at each other, and I remember my dad thought he was supposed to have us for the weekend. My mom thought she was supposed to have us for the weekend. They got into an argument. My mother left us on my father's steps in Hollywood. And I remember the feeling of abandonment and rejection that came at that time. I remember my mother having boyfriends, and this is the part that kind of makes me emotional sometimes. And I remember my mother saying things to me like, "You better not act up. Don't make me lose him. You better not act up." And Father, forgive her. She didn't know what she was doing, right? Because especially foreigners, right? Parents who don't know this culture here in the United States. They don't have very many friends, and the adjustment of having to raise me by herself, and the co-parenting thing. And I remember her saying those things to me, don't you mess this up for me. And I remember my brother and I getting a spanking, a real bad spanking. For my mother was sleep often in the mornings, and we ate raw bacon. We were hungry. We ate raw bacon, and my mother woke up and she smelt that raw bacon on us, and we got the beating of life, you guys. And I said to myself, well, we were hungry. What were we supposed to do, right? And so I'm painting this picture. I want you guys to see that it was not always perfect. So I had an opportunity to visit my father one Christmas around the 7th grade, the 6th or 7th grade, sixth grade. And I had gone through a lot of things in Los Angeles that I didn't talk to anyone about. Not all of my mother's boyfriends were nice. Some of them were very nice, but not all of them were. And I remember coming home to Philadelphia for Christmas, you guys, and I never went back. I never went back. I begged my dad to let me stay in Philadelphia, and he said, well, you got to tell your mom that you want to stay. And it was very difficult. She was very angry with me. She moved to Japan, you guys. She left Los Angeles, moved back to Japan, and I didn't speak to my mom for about 7 or 8 years. She just fell off the face of the earth. So I went through having my first son at 15. My father remarried, and of course it was hard for me to accept the mom that raised me. Debbie Coleman, if you are watching, I thank God for you. You literally were the angel in disguise that was sent to help me become a woman, to help me become a virtuous woman, you guys. But my mom left, and she just disappeared, fell off the face of the earth. And then one day when I was about 24 or 25, she just called me. Same phone number she had. She just called me. And I flew her back into the States. I got married. I had just gotten married, 25 years old, moved to Virginia Beach, and we flew her to Virginia Beach to be with us. And so I kind of want you guys to see this picture. And I'm not painting like a woe is me story. I'm not, because I am victorious. But I want you to see that life has not always been good. I went through a bad marriage. He was cheating on me, and I'm not saying these things to belittle him or to put him down, right? Because that was a season in my life, and it brought to me my daughter, Majesty. And so here I was, children out of wedlock. First one at 15, then I was with a boyfriend, and his father, let me tell you the story behind that. His father took advantage of me. And my first son came from that. I wasn't out being promiscuous. And I remember being afraid to not let him have his way with me because he locked me in a basement and told me, and he was a very angry kind of person, and I thought that I wouldn't make it out alive. And here comes my son. Context matter. Yeah, right. I want you to stop thinking it's easy. It's not easy, right? And so many of us, I understand, and I'm gonna bring you up to date because I have got so much that has gone on in my life. You know, divorce. I was obese for a long time. I fought a battle. There were times in my life when I just didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be here. I just wanted to I was pregnant at 15, and I remember wanting to throw myself down the steps. And every single time I would get to the top of the steps, something would come over me. And I know now what it was, right? But I knew that there was a plan for my life. And God said, no, that's not going to happen. And I'm not trying to be deep or spiritual, you guys, with any of you. I'm not trying to offend. This just is my story. It's my truth. And so there's somebody out there today. There's somebody out there that's feeling rejected. There's somebody out there that's watching that's feeling abandoned. There's somebody out there that's been talked about, lied on, abused, misused, not used. There's somebody that's watching me that feels some of what I felt, like you were forgotten about. Like, do I matter? There's somebody out there that knows what it's like, right? And I'm going to tell you something. I never could understand how people could say they were married and lonely. But I was that person. I was married and lonely. When I say lonely, ladies, lonely, right? And so I was fighting depression, fighting oppression, fighting, right? Am I invisible? Like, hey, does anybody see me down here? Hello? I know I got some gifts, right? I know I can be used. I know I'm not just a lump of clay here. Can anybody see me? Hello? I'm dying down here. I'm dying. And I remember holidays would come and the family would be happy and everyone would be around me, and I felt so alone. Maybe there's somebody that understands what that feels like, right? And then I remember finagling the system, right, so that I could get welfare, because there was just never another, there was a whole lot of month and no money, right? A whole lot of, you would work all these hours, and I'm telling you guys, like, not just welfare from the state of receiving welfare, but the mindset of being systematized to believe that I was not worthy. Maybe you are watching and you feel or have felt, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I sinned. You know, I'm not worthy. You know, I went through a divorce. I'm not worthy. Oh, I'm overweight. I'm not worthy. I've you know, suffered with depression. I'm not worthy. You know, I'm not worthy. I understand. Because we start focusing on everybody else's life and what everybody else is going through and how everybody's being blessed and everybody else is climbing the ladder and everybody else has gone to college. And I didn't go to college, so I felt like a big failure. I felt like a big failure, right? And so I had to figure out how do I make this change in my life? God help me. How do I make this change in my life? I know that I am destined for greatness. I know that I'm destined to be successful. I know that I'm full of greatness. I know I'm hearing it. I go to church all the time, right? I was in church all the time. I'm singing the songs. I'm the worship leader, but I'm leaving feeling so empty. How do I? First of all, I said, you know what? I've got to stop perpetrating the fraud. Yes, me perpetrating the fraud, acting like everything is okay. Because that's what we do. We just paint a good picture. We put the makeup on and we act like everything is okay because we're too afraid to be transparently naked and say, this is me. It's who I am. I'm a mess. I'm a mess, right? And so let me tell you something. I made a decision that, you know what? I have got to change because what I've been through, what I've been doing, guess what? It's not working. So I have got to change. So you want to know how I went from oppression, depression, abandonment, rejection, feeling unworthy, right? Suicidal thoughts. Do you want to know what it, so here it is. This is how I started. This is what started. And I promise you guys, I'm watching the time. I'm not going to keep you more than an hour. I wrote it out. I went back and I traced back to my earliest thought or memory of rejection, offense, oppression. I went back to my earliest thoughts of abandonment and I started writing. I got a composition book, a black and white composition book. And I'm going to give you guys some action steps after this. But I literally, any offense, I wrote it all out, you guys, in chronological order. In chronological order, that's what I did. I wrote it out. Everything. Now, I'm going to tell you something. There were days, you guys, that I would cry. There would be so much snot and moisture in my pages because of the crying. Because I am not saying that it's going to be easy. But you have got to purge it. You have got to write it out. Don't type it out. Write it out. There is something, a physical transference that takes place when you write it out. See, we have habits, you guys. We form habits. And the habits that we form are not always good habits, but they become habits. And I'm going to talk more about that. We don't even realize. We just do. We're just being. And we just have these habits that we form. And we bite. Think about it. You just bite your nails. For no reason, some of us do this. We take a piece of hair and we just twist and twist and twist. And then we realize that area of our hair becomes very weak and brittle and breaks, right? And so before I realized, before Nina, you can move forward, you got to take a good look at you. And I wrote it out, right? And so I thought that I had forgotten things. But buried deep in the abyss of my memories were things that were strongholds. And as I began to write and to go back and allow myself, I had to allow myself to go back to those deep buried memories, those things that we suppressed, because what happens is our bodies and our minds, ladies, goes into protect mode. And what it does, it suppresses our emotions and our feelings and those things that happen to us, right? And our mind will suppress them to protect us. So I had to go back and dig deep. With every stroke of my pen, I felt a release. With every word that I wrote, at page after page after page after page, I started to feel freer and freer. And I don't even know if that's a word, but freedom. I started feeling free. And then I'm going to tell you something. See, the enemy, he's cunning. So as I'm starting to write, you know what? And then I would get too afraid to write the next phase or to write the next thing, right? We don't write. Well, pretend that it didn't happen. And so I would try to say, you know, no, that really didn't happen to me. And we don't want to write the words down. We don't want to write what it actually is. We sugarcoat around the things that have happened to us because it's much easier to suppress it because we were protected from that. And we felt like, well, if we just forget it, then guess what? I don't have to deal with it. And so we try to act like things didn't happen to us. And every stroke of my pen, ladies, and every word that I wrote and every page that I continued to write, I got freed up. I got freed up. I got freed up. I wrote it out. And once I was finished, almost an entire black and white composition book, you guys, I realized I wrote it down. Now what? I had to take physical action. So guess what I did? See, there are people, you guys, that have offended you, that you are not ever going to be able to confront. Guess what I did? In my pages, in the pages of my composition book, I confronted those people and I burned it. I burned it. I burned it, and I gave myself permission to be freed up from all of the things that had suppressed me, had oppressed me, had anything. So now when I think back and when I look back over my life, those things that oppressed me and suppressed me and bound me up and tied me up and suffocated me and was like chains around me. And you know what started to happen? That was the first time of my life. Those weights that had bound me, I was freed up from them mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. And because my divorce left me in a horrible financial place. But I was freed up and the release came and I started to forgive people, and it didn't even matter because forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for us, ladies. But we seem to feel like we have a power over other people by holding them hostage in unforgiveness. So before I could head to winning, before I could head to success, I know you're probably trying to figure out, well, I thought she was going to talk about winning. Yeah, I am. You cannot go to winning until you deal with this. See, that's the problem. We want the victory without the process. I'm not stuck. I'm going to let that marinate. And maybe you want to write that down. We want the victory without the process. And you're right. And that's what happens. Forgiveness brings us freedom. Not only do you have to forgive other people, you got to forgive you. We've got to forgive ourselves. And so secondly, I realized I had to change. And I could no longer be the victim. Maybe you ought to write that down. I realized, you know what, Nina? You have got to change. You cannot be the victim, but you've got to be victorious. That you've got to live a victorious life. How in the world was I lifting my hands and believing, in the God I serve? And this is not a religious thing, right? This is just, I'm only speaking my truths. But I didn't even believe in the victory that I had already won. See, do you understand that there's an enemy out here, right? And he realizes exactly who you are. Do you understand, Beth? You are bad to the bone. Toby, you are bad to the bone. KJ Walker, you are bad to the bone. Danny Small, you are bad to the bone. Miss Natasha Gayton, you are bad to the bone. And see, he knows that too, right? And because those dark forces, right, realize that we've got a call on our lives. And the moment you realize it, the moment you step into your greatness, the moment you leap into your greatness, guess what? You become a threat to the plans that are devised to keep people oppressed. You become a threat. Nobody wants us talking about empowerment and being free and being victorious, and you can be financially free and you can be happy because you choose to. And no matter what's going on in your life, that you can wake up and say, hey, I'm blessed. Hey, but you a bad somebody. And every day when I wake up and my feet hit the ground, I say, uh-oh, world, Nina's up. Nina's up, and you better watch out. Because I'm coming after all that belongs to me. See, I happen to believe, because there's a favorite book that I read. I have a favorite book. And in this favorite book of mine says that I can live like this abundant life. That I am a daughter, like I'm an heir of a kingdom. That's what my favorite book says. And because my favorite book says that, guess what? I happen to believe that it says that about me. That's right. That I can live a life full of abundance. That I don't have to live like paycheck to paycheck. Who says that that's cute? There ain't nothing cute about that. Right? There's nothing cute about that. I'm coming after everything that belongs to me. Everything. See, wealth belongs to each and every one of us. And I'm coming after it. And I don't care. So you know what? I realized some things had to change about Nina. One big thing for us ladies. You want to know what kills us? The lack of consistency. We start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. We believe one day, forget the other day. Believe 2 days, forget 5 days. Who and whose are you? I will not settle for failure, and I will not settle for living beneath my privilege as a daughter of the king and an heir of the kingdom. That consistency, even Tammy Hooks, I saw you, cousin, sister, friend. She was like feeling low. She didn't want to go to the gym, but she looks so good, you guys. She's like been fighting this battle of and I hope I can say this. Tammy, of diabetes, right? And health and her weight battle, and she looks amazing. So Tammy Hooks, congratulations to you. But she said that somebody encouraged her, like, no, you came too far. So wait a minute. You mean to tell me, Sharice Dancy, you gonna come this far and then turn around now? You gonna come this far and then turn around now? Josephine, you gonna come this far? See, you thought you were gonna die. You thought you were gonna die in it. But you gonna come this far and then give up? Are you kidding me? So has the plan for your life changed? No. See, I realized that greater was in me, and that greatness was in me, and that I didn't care what it looked like, what it felt like, that success was mine, and that I was going to have it, and I was going to work for it. That it was disguised in some overalls, and I was going to work for it, because what I had been doing, it wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for me, right? And so I let go of the welfare I was receiving, you guys. I let it go. They didn't take it from me. I let it go, because I realized it was a crutch. It was a crutch. Let me say that again. I let it go because it was a crutch. So I let it go, right? And I realized that it was a bridge to carry me through a season in my life. It was a bridge to carry me through that season in my life. But I let it go. I no longer wanted that to be a lifestyle. I no longer wanted to be tied into that system. I didn't want to be systematized. I didn't want my children to be systematized. I used it as the bridge that I needed to get over. And then I realized that I had to change my habits, because I had habits that led me to being obese. I had habits that led me to not believing in myself. I would much rather sit around watching TV and a good series rather than picking up a book, rather than listening to some personal development, rather than applying the principles that I was hearing to my life. I would rather just, do what everybody else was doing. And what I realized is this: what everybody else was doing wasn't seeming to work either, because 97% of people are not living an abundant life. So if you're looking around a room and you see people are all doing the same thing, right? Then I'm going to run and do the opposite. Because there's always 3% of people that are actually living a successful life. So, I had to stop playing the blame game. You ought to write that down. And personalize it. See, that's why I'm saying, Nina, I'm not saying you got to stop playing. You know how you go to church and it's always what you need to do and you need to do. No, I had to stop playing the blame game. I was blaming everything and everybody else. Oh, where I grew up. Oh, my parents divorced. Oh, my father this. Oh, my mother that. Oh, my this that. Oh, my husband this. My ex-husband this. Oh, he was a this. Oh, it was a mess. Oh, but what about me? What about me? What was wrong with Nina that kept causing me to make the same decisions over and over and over again? Don't you hate it when you hear, when you call somebody and you say, hey, how you been? I haven't talked. And every single time you talk to them, it's always, oh my God, this is happening. My back hurt, my foot hurt, my knee hurt. This person, I'm I'm mad at this person. Oh, my job, oh, my this, oh, my kids, oh, my that. Oh my God, stop it. Is there ever a time in your life when you can think, when you can rise and you can say it's just a great thing? I'm grateful for life, for health, for strength, for the activity of my limbs, the articulation of my speech. I'm just grateful. Stop playing victim and stop playing the blame game and accept responsibility for where I am and take up my bed and walk. See, I realized that I already had the answers to everything that I needed. Consistency was one of the biggest reasons why I kept not having or achieving a breakthrough in my life. So my habits had to change. I realized there's no denying we are creatures of habits. We're a creature of habits, right? Our minds and our bodies are dependent on stimulants, right? Actions and patterns that come to define who we are. See, our habits are our security blankets. And I'm going to tell you, wait till you see, I'm writing a new book. And oh my gosh, one of the chapters in my book is let go of that blankie, right? And so our habits are our security blankets, you guys, enveloping us in their consistent presence and comfort of familiarity, right? We good as long as it's what we're used to. No one of us really wants to be stretched like a rubber band that pulls and pulls and it pulls and it tugs and then it gets like real light in the middle, but it doesn't pop. It pops right back into place. And when that rubber band pops right back into place, it's right back in the same form that it was originally in. We gotta be stretched. We gotta be pulled, but we don't want that. We want to remain right where it's familiar because that feels good. We're more worried about what feels good than what is good for us. We're more worried about what tastes good, but not what's really good for us. See, Brussels sprouts, which I love now, but I hated it as a kid, right? Because I didn't like the way it tastes. Now I know how to make them taste good, and they're good for you. Asparagus is good for you. Spinach and broccoli and those things are good for us. But we don't really always want the things that are good for us, right? And so I realized my habit. See, we do these habits, you guys. We do them unconsciously, just unconsciously, like cracking our knuckles. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. And when I'm doing it, I'm saying, why am I doing that? It's just unconscious, right? And like biting your nails, popping gum. Oh, that one wears me out. Right? But we do it. It's such a habit that I won't even chew gum anymore. People will say, you want a piece of gum? Absolutely not. And the reason why I chose to not eat gum anymore is because I couldn't chew it without popping it. And I think that just is so aggravating, right? So we can't even remember when our nasty habits began. When did you start telling yourself that you were not worthy? When did you start telling yourself that that you didn't believe that you deserved to live a life of greatness, that you didn't deserve to be successful? When did you start telling yourself that you didn't need to be consistent? When did you start telling yourself these nasty lies about you? When? You don't even know when it began. It just became a way of life. It became a habit. It became the norm. Losing became the norm. Are you kidding me? Losing is the norm. No, ladies, you are created for greatness and power. And if you understood the bad somebody that you are without your high heels, that sexy is an attitude, not low cut cleavage and little short tight dresses, that ain't sexy. Sexy is your attitude because you're a bad somebody. But you won't accept that you're a bad somebody. Right? You want to walk into your greatness. You want to step into your greatness. Step on out there. Take the step. Take the leap of faith. Right? And so according to a gentleman named Charles Duhigg, he is the author of a book called The Power of Habits. See, he said that habits are not born. We're not born with habits, but they're created. Habits are not born, but they are created. Every bad, good, or insignificant habit starts with a psychological pattern called a habit loop. Every habit starts with a psychological pattern called a habit loop. So a habit loop is a 3-part process, you guys. All right, ladies, I'm sorry, ladies, right? A habit loop. I teach mostly like men and women, so I have to say guys so that it's like gender neutral, right? And so a habit loop is a 3-part process. 1, the first step is the trigger that tells your brain to let a certain behavior unfold, right? That's the phase 1. That first step is the trigger that tells your brain that it's okay to let this habit unfold, right? This certain behavior unfold. And then the second phase of our pattern or habit loop is the behavior itself, or the routine that it creates, the routine that the habit creates, right? Like this, like I want to do it right now. I want to crack my knuckles right now, right? And I know that I'm making fun or making pun of the fact that, you know, I'm cracking knuckle thing, but that's not a good thing, right? And so I'm using that, and not those physical habits that I'm talking about in our lives, right? Or the mental and emotional habits that we have in our lives. And number 3 in the habit loop is the reward, or something that our brain actually likes, right? That helps it remember the habit loop in the future. And so we create this cycle, this vicious cycle of what we do over and over and over again. But you want to win? If you want to win, do you want to win? Ladies, let me see. Are you still here? Do you want to win? Because all we do is win, 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 no matter what. So imagine this. Think about it. Ladies, I need to see your response. Like, do you want to win? Because we're going through many times what I like to call birth pains of a blessing. The birth pains of a blessing, right? So what you don't understand is that we go through certain seasons in our lives, and I like to call them like the different trimesters. Like if you equate the seasons of our lives to the trimesters, if some of you have had children, then you understand the trimesters of your pregnancy, right? And in the first trimester, certain stages of development happen. In the second trimester, certain stages of development hit. And in the third trimester, usually we go through Braxton Hicks, right? And false labor pains. We think that the baby is ready. We think the birth pains are the, and then you go into labor. And when you go into labor, it's real intense, right? And most people's labors are like days, or, you know, even days and hours. And you go through this labor, and it gets intense. And you're like, oh my God, this labor. But are you going to stop pushing? Are you going to stop pushing? Are you going to say, no, the baby's head gets right there, and you're going to say, oh, you know what? It's just too tough. I'm going to stop pushing. No. So you are in, ladies, listen to what I'm saying. Many of you right now are in your third trimester. Many of you right now, some of you are going through Braxton Hicks. Many of you right now are right there. You're right there on the break of a breakthrough. And I know it's tough. I know it doesn't feel good. But do you want to win? Do you want to win? Because guess what? The same way our bodies can go through labor and not die is the same way you've got the power to go through these seasons and what you're going through right now. Tough it out. Breathe. Focus. Look at me, says a good birthing coach. Look at me, not the problem. Look at me, ladies, look at me. Bunker down, put them hips down. Come on, grab side of the bed. Come on, grab those poles. Put your legs back. Put your legs all the way back and push that baby out, because you are pregnant with a purpose. You're pregnant with a purpose. And your purpose is for now. It's for the right now. But you have got to believe it. You're pregnant with purpose. Focus and push and breathe and come on, you got to breathe your way through this, because you're pregnant with purpose. And so these habits, right? These habits that we have. Once we form habits, they are hard to break. I know they are. They're hard to break. Lean in. That's right. Lean in. Eat some ice chips. Get a cold rag. Come on, you got this. You got this. You're pregnant with a purpose, right? So these habits are hard to break because we forget we're doing them. We forget we're doing them. We forget we're looking in the mirror and not even believing in ourselves. We forget. We forget it because it just becomes a way of life. These habits that we're doing, right? It just becomes a way of life. Tedrick Gordon, you a bad somebody. Pamela Ball, you a bad somebody. That's why you're going through hell. That's why chaos is breaking out all around you, because you're pregnant. You're in your last trimester and you got to push your way through so that you can get on the other side to winning. And then when you get on the other side, yes, tests and trials are going to come, but you got to stay winning. You got to stay winning. You got to stay believing on yourself. Stay believing in yourself and stay believing in the power that resides in you. Life is going to happen. And unfortunately, people are going to pass. Stuff is going to happen. Jobs are not always going to be the way you want them to be. Your boss is going to get on your nerves. Life and stuff is going to happen. They're going to talk about you, persecute you. I'm going through it right now. Guess what? They talked about the master. He is no respecter of persons. No respecter of persons. Live, yes, right, your most intentional life. And so we become slaves to our habits, ladies. Listen, we become slaves to our habits. Thinking negative first. Why? Well, what if it doesn't work? Well, what if it does, doggone it? What if it does? What if it does work? What if you are powerful? What if you are blessed? What if you are a bad somebody, a bad mamma jamma, that when your feet hit the ground, the world is like, uh-oh, Kimberly Biggs is awake, uh-oh. What if? Instead, you're like, well, what if it doesn't? But what if it does? And stop thinking, what if it doesn't? What if it does? Break that habit. Break that cycle of doubt. Break that habit of fear. Break that habit of feeling rejected and abandoned. And guess what? Accept what has gone on in your life. Let it go. Let it go. I like to call it, and as a woman that was in my life a long time ago, she was a preacher, and she used to say, stinking thinking. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, most of us would be better in a better place if we would let go of some of those relationships that we had. But we too scared to walk away from those too. You got to understand something. That what the call on your life, right? There's a call on your life. Each and every one of you here have a call on your life. Guess what? That call that's on your life is not for everyone that's connected to you. Maybe not in this season. You got to break the habit of wanting to drag people along with what God has for you. All right? So I had to learn to replace my old habits with good ones, with better ones. Right? So I realized that if I just took one bad habit at a time away and replaced it with a good one, right? One that I could take baby steps, right? Baby steps to bringing change. So our biggest enemy, you guys, our biggest enemy is right here in between our two ears is us. Our biggest enemy is the way that we think, the way that we process stuff. Our biggest enemy. And I'm telling you, if you want winning, if you want to live a life of abundance and success and be victorious, you have got to change. We've got to change. I had to change. Nina had to change. So instead of watching Netflix and chilling, I started reading a book. Instead of drinking soda, I started drinking water. Instead of doing things that weren't profiting me anything, I started doing things that only would bring profit. Not money, not just money profit, but that is important. But profit me. I'm not just going to go and hang with people just because they say come hang. No, like Saturday night, I could have been in the streets. You know what I was doing? Personal development on a Saturday night. And it felt so doggone good. I was training myself on some social media stuff. Because I realized that to go to my next dimension and I'm real uncomfortable right now, but to go into my next season, that I got to do some things differently. And then I got to challenge me, that Nina has to challenge Nina to do more and to do some things differently than what I did in my last season, in my last businesses, right? And so action steps. Most habits, you guys, they say it takes 20 days to change or 21 days to change. Nope, it takes about 66 days to change, right? And so we're going to talk about a few steps, right? And give you some action steps because I like to give action steps, right? Because it's no good in me telling you that, hey, we want to win. You want to go from, not winning to winning. If I can't tell you that, now we got to do is we got to take some steps, right? We just do. And you have got to commit to these next 66 days. This is for you. It's not for Nina. It's not for Natasha. It's not for Danny Small. This is for you. It's for you, Toby. It's for you, Kim. It's for you. For anybody that has joined tonight, Pamela, it's for you. This is for you. That you got to say, I'm going to take these next 66 days and say, you know what? I'm committed to me. And I'm going to commit to the commitment to me. And do you realize that if you do these things, right? And as you're doing these things, that everything around you, everything else is going to get into alignment. Everything is going to get into alignment. So one, you got to be obnoxious. Now, I know that sounds crazy, right? That Nina is telling us to be obnoxious. I am telling you to be obnoxious, but not in a snooty, arrogant kind of way. I'm talking about be obnoxious. Be a little bit selfish and say, you know what? I got to do this for me. Excuse me, family. Excuse me, folks. But right now, I got to be a little bit obnoxious because this is about me. This is going to be the external force pushing you. All right. So during this first phase of being obnoxious, I need you to tell people you're on a mission. Tell people that you're on enlist them as like officers, right? To help keep you on track, to keep you accountable, right? For them to remind you, to pester you even that, hey, you're supposed to be in personal development. What you doing hanging out? You said that you were taking these next 66 days to get on a road, to get on a path, to put you in a better position, to be heading towards winning, towards being successful, right? Because the external force, you need external forces keeping you accountable. So be obnoxious because this next 66 days is all about you, right? And we've committed to kids and husbands and moms and spouses and all. No, you gotta be on a mission for the next 66 days. And then so from day 1 to 22, because we're breaking these 66 days down, from day 1 to day 22, you got to be on it. But you got to tell people, I don't care if it's social media. Hey, you need to be doing at least 30 minutes of personal development every day. You need to be doing 30 minutes of walking. Because do you understand that exercise releases an energy, right, that will help you have a better frame of mind? Exercise releases an energy. And some of you may not be overweight. It's not about that. I'm talking about get moving. Get your body moving because it helps you to think more clear thoughts, right? Now in phase 2, you want to go into a self-analyzation phase. This is 22 through 44. Days 22 through 44, you want to go into a self-analyzation phase. This may be a very lonely time for you. But guess what? So is success. It's a lonely road because people don't want to put the work in, right? They don't want to put the work in. So it's not going to be a crowded road. It's the road less traveled, right? So you want to take time to dig deep. First thing you had to do was to write it out. So you're taking action steps and you got to burn it, rip it up, whatever, shred it, right? Get rid of it. Now we're in our action steps. You're on a mission. That's right, Pamela. You're on a mission, right? These action steps. Self-analyzation. And step 2, days 22 through 44. And this is going to be a lonely time. I'm telling you, you're going to lose some friends. They're going to say, you changed. Good. Good. Yep. I did change. Yep. I did change. For the better. For me. Right? And you got to dig deep and do some soul searching. You got to ask yourself, write this down, ladies. What do I want in life? Not what do your kids want? What do they like what kind of food do they want to eat? What kind of ice cream do they like? Where do you want to go? What do I want in life? Why am I doing this? Why am I even going through this 66 days of this being on a mission of changing my life so that I can win at the end of this? Why am I doing it? What do you want out of life? Why are you doing it? What do you want people to think of you? What do you want to be known for? What is it? So that you can help identify your purpose. What do you do without even thinking about it? What are you passionate about? Write it down. Right? This is the internal force that's pushing you. Now, in this next phase, find the light. Number 3, find the light. This phase is internal and external, right? Day 44 to 66, right? Day 44 to 66. Now, right here in this phase, right? I know you're tired. Ladies, I know you're tired. At this phase, I know you're tired. At this phase, you have to keep your eyes on the prize. Because at this phase, you're going to want to turn around and give up and go back to your old ways. But success, the birth pains of a blessing. The baby's on the other side. Remember, the baby's on the other side. And it is for you. Success is for you. It's for you, you, and you. And in this phase, you're going to want to give up. You're going to feel like I'm at my breaking point. It's just so much easier to do the other thing, to do things the way that I've been doing them. This is where it's going to be easy to revert back to your old ways, right? Your old ways. It's kind of like putting on that old robe that's all ripped up and them slippers that got holes all in them and you just can't get rid of them. No, fight and get out of this phase right here. Because it's about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It's about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And then the next phase, after day 66 and after, you got to celebrate. You've got to celebrate like we're going to party like it's 1999. You got to celebrate, right? And the only way to solidify the end of an old habit and the birth of a new one is to celebrate. And then what I want you to do is I want you to pay it forward. Pay it forward. You want to get in a place in your life now when you're paying it forward that you literally are reaching back to grab somebody else to pay it forward. But we got to learn, you guys, that we're waiting for these big triumphant things to happen. Like, oh, I got a new job. Oh, I got a new house. Oh, I got a new car. How about today I thought more positive thoughts than negative thoughts and celebrate. We got to learn to celebrate the small milestones in our lives because it's those small milestones that help us achieve the bigger or the greater or the more grandiose, right? I don't even know if that's a word. It probably isn't, but who cares, right? It's just us ladies, right? Those things, and have a party for yourself and celebrate you. It's okay. Go to dinner by yourself. Go to a movie by yourself. Go buy yourself something cute. Don't get broke doing it, but go buy yourself something cute. And then you know what? You got to make a decision, ladies. You got to make a decision to know that, hey, if it hasn't been working the way you know, some of us get too comfortable. We get too comfortable with being just okay. We not even doing real good, just okay. We get stuck in our comfort zone of just okay. How about living the life that you were created to really live? And that is a blessed life, an abundant life, a powerful life, a life where favor is all around you, right? And so what that means is that you've got to commit. You've got to commit to some personal development. How did I become successful? I started committing to personal development each and every day. Now I'm gonna tell you something. And I often tell people there's a book that I've read. There's several books that I've read, right? But this is a book that I love, absolutely love. Successful Women Speak Differently. And this book, 9 Habits That Build Confidence, Courage, and Influence, right? You got to change the way you think, change the way you talk, change the way you react to things. And you've got to make a decision that, you know what? You got to write some things down as, personal development is key. You got to write some things down as your goals. What do you want? Again, right? What are some of the goals? What are the things that you want to achieve? How about celebrate finishing a book? Celebrate listening to personal development every single day. Yes, Valerie Burton. Ain't she amazing, right? Who do you enjoy listening to? Who inspires you, right? Listen to that over and over again. But I will warn you. I will warn you, right? Knowledge is not power. Nope. I know that people say knowledge is power. No, it's not. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. I'm going to say that again. Knowledge is not power, but applied knowledge is power. So what did I do? I stopped giving myself room to fail. I stopped giving myself room to quit. I started thinking a little bit differently, and I changed my career. I did. I went from being a hairstylist to an entrepreneur, 100% entrepreneur, because I realized that even as a hairstylist, I was a slave to the chair. And for me, it was an industry called network marketing. That may not be for you, but applied knowledge is power. And I started reading books that started to develop me and it started to challenge me. And then you know what? I started losing a lot of friends. I did. People that I thought were my friends. And then you just start putting people in different categories. And so I want you to understand some things, ladies. And I hope that this has helped you. And I know that it's hard to kind of give you everything in 1 hour. But before I could go to the side of winning, I had to do these things. And if you can master this area, breaking those old habits and the way you used to think and the circle that you're in, and if you can master just this stuff right here, I promise you, on the other side of this, don't be afraid to try something different. Don't be afraid. You know what? Some of you have wanted to open up a bakery. Start by baking cakes. Cut them up and sell those slices. Some of you have wanted to own boutiques. I don't know. Start with selling your stuff online. There's different apps that you can utilize to sell your stuff online. You know, we don't understand that. Write the vision and make it plain. I wrote down what I wanted my weekly income to be, what I want my monthly income to be. I wrote it down. It's not enough to pray, because you got to move to action. You can't pray and say, oh, I want a job, and then sit on the sofa and do nothing. It's not enough to pray. You got to take action. See, God has given us the power to create wealth, and he gave it to us in our hands, you guys. He gave us the ability. So some of you are really good. Pruning is not easy. I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but oh, baby, it's going to be so worth it. So I'm only hoping that there was something that I said that might have helped you today. And if we are not friends on Facebook, please feel free to friend me at the Nina Moorer page, not Nina Rochelle Moorer, because that page is all maxed out. And I want to friend you. Like, I want to keep in contact with you. Nina Moorer, Moorer. And if you need to reach me, you can inbox me here on Facebook. And I want you guys to know something. Ladies, I'm sorry. I want you ladies to understand something. And I want to thank you again, Natasha Gaden, for inviting me. I hope that I don't even know if I did exactly what you needed, right? And thank you, Danny Small, for even recommending me or referring me to Natasha, because I am so honored and I'm humbled to be here with you ladies. But no matter what's going on in your life, right? I don't care what it looks like right now. I don't care what it feels like. I don't care what you've been through. No matter what it feels like, looks like, tastes like, smells like, no matter what, I want you to understand something. That you can live again. You can laugh again. You can hope again. You can dream again. And you most certainly can bling again. And I want you to know that I have a live call, a bling mind shift call every Monday morning and every Friday morning at 9 a.m. And if you ever want to join us, it's 712-770-4160. 712-770-4160. And the code to that call is 793225. 712-770-4160, and the code to that call is 793225. I just want to empower people to start their week off properly and end it properly. And so spread the word, you guys. That call goes every morning, our Bling morning call on Mondays and Fridays. And a thank you again. Thank you. And don't you forget, you are a bad somebody. I love you all. Have a great rest of the evening and have a blessed week.